to hell!
Halo Infinite is very good now. About fucking time. So just about 2 years ago, I finally bit the bullet on starting this channel after wanting to make a YouTube channel for several years. Now, I had always wanted to make a variety channel like this, talking about, movies, games, shows, music, entertainment, all kinds of stuff like that. But nothing really... what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing really made me want to pull the trigger on an actual channel for the longest time. I came close a couple of times, but there was never like that one definitive thing that made me finally bite the bullet and decide I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And that all changed in October of 2021 when this little game came out. I loved this game during its beta period so much that I just had to make a video on it. I got Vegas Pro, loaded the clips up, and got straight to work on making it. I had wanted and planned on making more content on it, especially when the multiplayer of the game released early, but then... Halo Infinite's multiplayer is a conglomerate mess of the release now, fix later model that has plagued AAA gaming for several years, while simultaneously having one of the absolute worst in-game economies I've ever seen in a video game. There is no incentive to continuously play Infinite. The progression in this game is the worst I've ever seen in a video game. If there were a traditional progression system, like, I don't know, every other multiplayer shooter, like, yeah, cool, $8 if I want to make my Spartan blue.
For fucking blue!
All the missing features in this, from Forge to a working theater mode, this game frustrates me because all of the pieces are there for the best Halo game yet, but instead we either have to wait for things to change or watch as 343 very subtly doubles down on some design choices like the store and the progression system. Yeah, I don't think it's really a secret that Halo Infinite really botched its launch. And that's kind of an understatement. After playing the beta, I went into the multiplayer and sort of went, oh, okay, that wasn't a beta, that's just the game. I was very vocal about my disappointment for this game. I honestly did not think it was gonna go anywhere. It was probably one of the most, if not the most disappointing game I played the year it came out. I tried playing it a couple more times in the months after, but I never stuck around too long. I was convinced the game was not gonna go anywhere when I logged back into the game 8 months later, and the playlists for the game were the exact same as they were in launch and in the beta. No variation, no new and compelling content. So I just stuck with Master Chief Collection to keep playing Halo 3 and Reach instead. It's really difficult for me to, list out every problem this game had, because it had a lot of problems. Not just because I checked out not too long after launch, but I was just totally disinterested. I didn't care about new seasonal content. I didn't care that they were having an XP beta. Yes, an XP beta for a multiplayer shooter. Everything just kept looking worse and worse, especially after the entire single-player portion for the foreseeable future was just more or less dropped. Until late last year, something came to the game that finally got me slightly interested in the game again. Forge. And I think it's really safe to say that this, combined with the overall improvements the game has gotten this year specifically, Halo Infinite is finally in the state it should have launched in. Now, I am not going to applaud 343 for taking this long to finally get to this point for Halo Infinite, because let's not rewrite history. This game had a lot of problems, it was lacking a lot of content, and it was still very disappointing at launch. It had a terrible progression system, with everything being challenge-based and tied only to battle passes. The free seasonal events sucked because of how limiting every event was to earn rewards. There were not that many maps in the game, and Big Team Battle was a total mess, between its connectivity issues and lack of maps that truly utilized the game's vehicle sandbox. That is, until Forge went public, along with custom games. This, to me, and probably for a lot of other people coming back right now, has single-handedly saved Infinite. For the first time, Infinite actually has a sense of community in it. People are creating maps and game modes. Players are having custom games where they screw around in a water park or a Walmart. 343 is bringing in fan-made maps into official playlists, both Forge-specific and the actual game. This right here, all of this community-driven stuff, is what Halo is all about. This is what has made every Halo game thrive. On top of that, with all the adjustments they've made to progression and whatnot, Infinite finally feels rewarding to play and progress. It isn't flawless, the challenge system still has the same problems as it did at launch, but not only are the challenges much better and more player-friendly, there's an actual progression system with XP that counts towards this progression as well as whatever battle pass you're working on. Wow, who could have guessed that all you needed to make a Halo game good and keep it alive was to have a good progression system and a community that collaborates with one another to create great stuff while the devs make stuff of their own. So, on that note, I want to go into, specific things, like what specifically has made Halo Infinite a much better game now. I want to dive a lot deeper into these specific areas of the game, and hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll have reason to check out the game again, just like I did. Because, let's be real, for better or for worse, if there is one thing that 343 is very consistent with, it's totally fucking up Halo games at launch, only to fix them years down the line and for them to be some of the best shooters on the market. Props for the consistency, I guess. Thanks, Microsoft. This is the big thing right here. So I don't recall exactly when this was added to the game, but boy, am I glad it was. This is, hands down, no questions asked, the best playlist in Infinite right now. Squad Battle is an 8v8 playlist that includes infantry combat as well as vehicle combat. Exile from 4 is back, along with Last Resort and Waterworks from 2, and Valhalla and Rat's Nest from 3. Something like this right here would have single-handedly saved Infinite around launch. And it isn't just the maps here, which, to be clear, are all fantastic. They're incredible remakes of older maps from the games, and it's a testament to how fucking good the original maps were that they still play this well and translate perfectly into Infinite's framework all these years later. I can't express how happy I am that such a good remake of Valhalla is finally in the game. And official playlist, no less. And as much as I didn't like Halo 4's multiplayer, I'm so glad that what was easily my favorite map in that game is getting some love now in Infinite. Now, what makes this playlist so good, besides it mostly being community made, is just how much fun the combat is in this. Infinite up until recently has had this issue where most of the focus has been on infantry combat. There is vehicle combat, but a lot of it is restricted to really narrow map design, especially when you play certain maps on Big Team Battle. Not only is this a perfect middle ground between traditional 4v4 and Big Team Battle, but just about every kind of Halo player wins with a playlist like this. You want to focus on the gunplay? Well, Infinite has that polished to the nth degree already, and you're playing on even better maps. You want to focus on vehicle combat? Every map here gives you more than enough room to play around with the vehicles. Do you want to sweat and play more competitively and aggressively? The maps and game modes let you do that. You want to pull off something so incredibly stupid that it could actually work or could just get you killed while the physics engine tries to decide if you're falling in midair or actually fell to the ground? Go for it! There's no restrictions with this playlist. Everything here lets you experiment, and you can be rewarded for it. You can play how you want, there isn't an intense focus on 4v4 like the normal playlists, and it isn't as linear as most big team battle maps are. It's fun, it's experimental, it's Halo. The only real complaint here, if any, is that there aren't more original maps in the rotation. Maybe use this opportunity to bring in brand new maps that have vehicle combat and infantry combat and have this perfect balance of them like these maps do. This playlist here is what Halo multiplayer is all about. It's about letting players spread their wings and just have fun. Sometimes in the best and dumbest ways possible. That level of agency and community that built Halo up as the juggernaut it was in the 2000s is here in full swing in this playlist, and I love it. Again, I have no doubt that if Infinite launched with this game would have been much better received and more people would have stuck around. So I've never been super involved with Forge. I played around with Reach's Forge a lot when I was a kid, but it was mostly just that, playing around and doing and building stupid stuff. Forge in this game is nuts! The amount of options at your disposal here are insane. Not just with objects, with spawns, the overall customization you can have with all of these, but the fact that there's even scripting here as well. It's honestly a little overwhelming, and I mean that in a very good way. I do kind of wish and hope 343 considers adding in-game tutorials or the likes so that more people can get into this, because as it stands, I love what they've added to Forge, but it is so overbearing what you can do and accomplish with that. And again, I mean that in a good way. There is a lot here for people to create pretty much anything. It's honestly no wonder people have made such unbelievably incredible stuff using Forge in this game. And I'm not just talking map remakes, even though most of them are absolutely fantastic. People have made original maps here that play incredibly well, both small and big, and could easily pass off as official maps. Some of these maps even are in official playlists. I've played games on remakes of stuff like Transit from Black Ops 2 Zombies and played Infected on it. I've gone into a Minecraft world with working portals to the Nether in the end. I've had a free-for-all in a massive water park. I've had brawls with people in a Walmart parking lot. I've raced on highways with other people. The possibilities for the first time in Halo seem truly actually endless as to what people can create when it comes to maps and game modes. The only issue I really have with custom games right now is that, at least from what I've been able to delve into so far, it doesn't seem like there's any optimal ways to search for custom games, and the ones that do show up tend to be kind of limiting. There is also just the factor of, well, looking for custom games is still a little bit buggy. But again, it's that sense of fun and community there that Halo has been sorely needing for years that is finally in the game. The community can keep itself occupied while the devs work on the new stuff. Speaking of which, so I'll say outright, this isn't my favorite version of Infected they've ever brought to any of the Halo games, but I mean, come on, it's still Infected. It's a small adjustment, but something I really like with Infected this time is how certain maps are altered so that getting a power position and standing your ground seems much easier than in the past. There are areas of maps that are clearly set up for players to hold out if they want to survive, but nothing is stopping them from going around the map guns blazing. It's a great balance. Some of the power positions are a little too strong, but I like that they had this foresight when bringing Infected officially into the game. And on another note, Super Fiesta is so much fucking fun. Oh my god. So one of the only glaring issues with Infinite right now is that not much has been added when it comes to its overall sandbox. We've only had one weapon added since launch, and it does tend to get a bit stale. Super Fiesta is a breath of fresh air I didn't even know I needed. Having these super weapons from the campaign and multiplayer changes the game entirely. The sniper plays more like a marksman rifle, the rocket launcher has lock-on capability, the needler shreds even faster at the cost of less ammo, the battle rifle fires even faster and more consistently. Honestly, rework these as new weapons into the regular game. There would need to be some balance changes obviously, but this is an entire half of the weapons sandbox that isn't being utilized enough. I am terrible with the game's sniper rifle. I enjoy using this special sniper on this a lot more because it acts more like a marksman rifle. I like having this accuracy on the special assault rifle here as opposed to the regular one. If not add these specifically, use these weapons as inspiration for brand new ones. It adds so much more variety to the pool of guns that can get exhausting to use after long stretches of time. Even as I was writing the script, they're adding new content and new ways to play. Scar got a dedicated heavies playlist, and now they added Husky Raid, a fast-paced Fiesta capture the flag game mode on mostly small community-made maps. It's so dumb and quick and frantic, and I absolutely love it. Now, I'm gonna be a little less congratulatory about this because this should have been in the game from day one. Not a matter of maybe, this was a necessity and it baffles me that we never had it. Still, it's finally here, so we should talk about it and how the game is much more rewarding to play now. I'm preaching to the choir when I say the original system they had in place was just awful. It sucked only being able to progress nothing but the battle pass, and even then, you had to do all of these elaborate and specific challenges just to progress. On top of that, you didn't even get unlimited challenges to keep going, you would eventually run out. Progressing to unlock anything was not only an annoying grind, but it was a waiting game. Free passes that they initially put out were an absolute slog because they'd usually be 2 weeks long, have 10 items, and you could only unlock 1 per day. 1. Combine that with how much better cosmetics and armor were buyable in the shop, it was just never rewarding to play Infinite. It's not even like modern day Call of Duty where leveling up got you access to more weapons and whatnot, and completing challenges would get you calling cards and the like. It never felt like you were working towards anything in Infinite. Now, with a proper progression system, not only is there something to work towards, but it's actually attainable. One of the more recent free events they did with all the neon items finished in a single day. Not only from XP from challenges, but actual XP for performing well in the games. It's ridiculous that this even needs to be addressed. This is a pivotal element for any multiplayer game to have. If there's nothing rewarding from playing and there's no other ways to have fun, what's the point of playing? Having Forge and custom games, combined with this, finally gives people a reason to play Infinite. I have progressed my Season 1 Battle Pass more in the past month than I had in like the first year I tried playing the game, and now that I know getting these rewards is actually possible, I'm actually looking at the store for once to see what other stuff I can get. Not because it feels like a necessity in order to have good armor or customization, but because it actually supplements what I'm already earning. It's almost like having a good game from the get-go and a good progression and unlock system from the get-go will incentivize people to buy stuff in the store more. Now, there are still issues with this. The progression system itself leaves a lot to be desired. It's nice that there's finally ranks and you can level up, But outside of emblems, there isn't really much that incentivizes getting high ranks besides just playing organically. Most of the rewards come from the battle pass. And don't get me wrong, I do like how they handle battle passes in this game and how they never expire, and you can buy any one from any of the seasons here. But again, it's the only thing you can really progress right now. Imagine if you could unlock new sets of armor or weapon coatings or anything like that with every rank that you pass. Not just in the challenge mode, but like with the actual progression system. Give people a reason to rank up beyond a battle pass or limited events. The challenge system is still inherently flawed as well. I think this is always going to be the case. The challenges themselves are much better and easier to accomplish, I'll give them that, but they still have that issue of being one of the most efficient ways of getting XP, and you're still limited to doing the same number of them as when the game launched. But overall, this is a step in the right direction. It shouldn't have needed to happen, and I'm not gonna pat 343 or Microsoft on the back for finally putting this in the game, but at least it's there. 343's maps have definitely gotten better since launch overall. There are still some issues here and there, like BTB's general linearity and limited use of vehicles on added maps like Scar, but they are getting better. Chasm and Forest are especially highlights here. These look, play, and feel like classic Halo maps, and I cannot get enough of them. Cliffhanger is another one that feels classic with how much open space players have to navigate and experiment with. Oasis is easily the best big team battle map, just by the fact that vehicle combat is actually viable here. 343 has gotten much better with rotating playlists. Some are definitely here to stay, like squad battle and ranked arena, but it's nice seeing stuff like Fiesta get rotated out with team snipers and whatnot. On top of that, we had yet another free event where it's possible to get every single thing in one day. Literally the only negative with these free passes is just how easy they are to finish now. It's almost the opposite problem of what they initially had. Imagine getting more limited events like this with 30 items to unlock instead of 10. The physics in general seem to be improved in the game overall as well. I made a joke earlier about the Spartans falling in midair like the classic Bungie games, but the physics overall seem a lot more improved to play like. I could be totally wrong on this, but things definitely feel a lot more loose and less restrictive compared to when I first played the game. The campaign still largely holds up. I went back to it for a little while to unlock some extra collectibles here and there, and gameplay-wise, it's still the best 343 has ever put out. Now story? That's up for debate still, but the game itself is still fun. Improvements like replaying missions is a nice touch, and while I haven't tried it myself yet, it is nice to see there's finally some form of co-op in it, even if the road to it was messy as hell. I don't really know what happened recently. Halo Infinite, in the course of a few weeks, has gone from one of my most disappointing games in years to the most engaging FPS I've played this year next to Call of Duty. It seems like all hope was lost, what with all the layoffs at 343 this year and how things seem to be continuing in a downward trajectory for the game, even after Forge initially came out. But now that Forge has had time to settle, and maybe some internal shakeups in some way, Infinite is in a good state. A year and a half ago, I complained that Infinite had all the pieces in place to make it one of the best games in the series, and now, after all this time, it seems like most of those pieces have finally been put in their proper places. Not all of them, but a lot. These past couple of months have been, hands down, the most fun I've had with Halo Infinite, and I have no doubt if the game launched like this, it would have been much better received, even if 343 was dragging its feet with content. And you know, if Forge and custom games were there from the get-go, I don't think that necessarily would have been an issue. Let players cook with fantastic fan-made remakes of old maps. Let them make stupid maps and game modes to screw around with. That sense of community is why Bungie's games were so beloved and lasted so long. It's why they still play Master Chief Collection to this day. The game still has its cracks. I will admit that. It does still have issues and problems that need to be addressed. But it's really fun now, and that's probably what matters most. So if you made this far, thank you for watching, and if you like what you watched, be sure to subscribe. I do occasionally make some gaming-focused content and do a little bit of shitposting here and there, like I said, but mainly the channel is focused on review content like this, where I'm talking about movies, shows, games, music, all that kind of good stuff. If you subscribe right now, I'll break into 343 Industries right now, and I'll force them to make a brand new game mode, because I'm too fucking stupid to do it myself in Forge. Alright, so here's the stupid fucking pitch. It's a one-life game mode, it's a free-for-all. Everybody spawns in with a gravity hammer, and it doesn't do any damage, but has a 1 in 100 chance of fucking catapulting players across the fucking map in a one-shot kill. Okay, but that's my pitch though. It's a one-life, free-for-all game mode. You have a gravity hammer. There's a 1 in 100 chance of you getting killed by one. I call it the Grand Slam. Yep, that's what it's fucking called. I call it the Grand Slam. Also, whenever someone dies, it plays the Vine Boom sound effect. That's like a necessity.